At the company board meeting, my cousin Marcus stood up in front of 15 investors and announced that I don't really run this company and was just a figurehead with no real authority. I calmly opened my briefcase and pulled out the ownership document showing I held 78% controlling interest in the business. His face went completely white, and what happened next destroyed his credibility in the business world forever. Before I dive into this story of corporate sabotage and the most satisfying business vindication imaginable, let me know where you're watching from in the comments below. Hit that like button if you've ever had family members undermine your professional authority or question your business leadership, and subscribe to True Revenge for more stories of corporate doubters being silenced by legal documentation. My name is Elena, I'm 31 years old, and until our quarterly board meeting last month, I believed that family members would support each other's business success rather than sabotage it. This story begins with a company I built from nothing and ends with ownership papers that proved who really controlled the business my cousin tried to claim as his own. I founded Sterling Solutions 5 years ago as a consulting firm specializing in helping small businesses optimize their operations and scale for growth. I started the company with $50,000 in personal savings and a clear vision for providing high-quality business consulting services to entrepreneurs who couldn't afford the major consulting firms. The business grew rapidly through referrals and client success stories. Within 3 years, Sterling Solutions was generating over $2 million in annual revenue and employing 25 consultants who worked with clients across various industries. My success with Sterling Solutions was entirely self-made. I had developed the business model, secured the initial clients, hired and trained the staff, and built the systems that allowed the company to scale effectively. But as the business grew and became more visible in our city's business community, my extended family began showing increased interest in my professional activities. My cousin Marcus, who's 2 years older than me, had always struggled to find his professional direction. He'd worked various sales jobs without building significant career momentum and had recently been laid off from his position at a medical device company. When Marcus learned about Sterling Solutions' success, he approached me about joining the company in a business development role. "Elena, I think I could really add value to your consulting firm," Marcus said during a family gathering. "I have sales experience, and I understand business development strategies that could help you grow even faster." I was hesitant about hiring family members but decided to give Marcus an opportunity to prove himself in a junior business development position. The arrangement started reasonably well. Marcus was enthusiastic about learning the consulting industry and seemed genuinely interested in contributing to Sterling Solutions' continued growth. But within 6 months, Marcus began making comments that suggested he viewed himself as more than just an employee of my company. "Elena and I built this business together," Marcus would tell clients during meetings. "We're partners in creating solutions for growing companies. Sterling Solutions is really a family business," he'd explain to potential clients. "Marcus and Elena have been working together to build this consulting practice." Marcus's claims about being my partner were concerning because they misrepresented both the ownership structure of the company and his actual role in its development. I had founded Sterling Solutions 3 years before Marcus joined the team, and he held no ownership stake in the business. He was an employee with a salary and commission structure, not a partner or co-founder. When I addressed Marcus's misrepresentations with him directly, his response was dismissive. "Elena, you're being too literal about titles and ownership," he said. "Clients want to feel like they're working with a team of principals, not just a boss and her employee." "Besides," Marcus continued, "I've been instrumental in growing the business since I joined. My contributions have been significant enough that I should be considered a partner in the firm." Marcus's assumption that his 6 months of employment had earned him partnership status in a company I'd spent years building was presumptuous and concerning. But his behavior became more problematic as he began making statements to external parties that suggested he had more authority within Sterling Solutions than he actually possessed. During client presentations, Marcus would position himself as the co-leader of projects and make commitments about service delivery without consulting me or the project managers who actually oversaw the work. "Marcus and I will personally ensure that your implementation timeline meets your requirements," he'd tell clients, despite not being involved in project management or service delivery. At networking events, Marcus would introduce himself as a principal or partner at Sterling Solutions, titles that he had not been given and that misrepresented his role in the company. Sterling Solutions was founded by Elena and Marcus, he'd tell potential clients at business conferences. We've built this practice together over the past several years. These misrepresentations created confusion in the market about Sterling Solutions' leadership structure and began affecting my reputation as the actual founder and CEO of the business. Some clients started contacting Marcus directly about new projects, assuming he had the authority to make decisions about pricing, scope, and resource allocation. Other business contacts began treating Marcus as my equal partner in meetings, seeking his approval for decisions that were ultimately my responsibility as the company owner. The situation came to a head when Marcus began making statements about company strategy and direction that contradicted my actual plans for Sterling Solutions' future. During a client meeting that I couldn't attend due to a scheduling conflict, Marcus told the client that Sterling Solutions was planning to expand into international markets and would be opening offices in Europe within the next year. This expansion plan was completely fictional. I had no intention of pursuing international growth in the near term, and Marcus had no authority to make such commitments on behalf of the company. When the client followed up with me about the European expansion timeline, I realized that Marcus's misrepresentations had reached a level that was potentially damaging to client relationships and my company's credibility. I arranged a meeting with Marcus to address his unauthorized statements about company strategy and his continued misrepresentation of his role in the business. Marcus, you told the Henderson Group that we're expanding to Europe, I said. That's not accurate, and you don't have the authority to make strategic announcements on behalf of Sterling Solutions. Marcus's response revealed the extent of his confusion about his position in the company. Elena, I think you're overreacting, he said. As a partner in this business, I should be able to discuss our growth plans with clients. Marcus, you're not a partner, I corrected him. You're an employee. You don't have ownership in the company, and you don't have the authority to make strategic decisions or commitments. Marcus's reaction to this clarification was immediate and defensive. I've been working here for 6 months and have been instrumental in growing the business, he argued. My contributions have earned me a partnership position, whether it's been formalized or not. The success of Sterling Solutions since I joined proves that I'm a key leader in this organization, Marcus continued. Clients see me as a principal because that's the role I've been fulfilling. Marcus's belief that his employment had automatically earned him partnership status showed a fundamental misunderstanding of business ownership and corporate structure. I explained that Sterling Solutions was a company I had founded and owned, that he was an employee with specific responsibilities, and that partnership or ownership would require formal legal agreements that we had never executed. But Marcus seemed unable or unwilling to accept that his role in the company was different from what he'd been representing to clients and colleagues. Elena, I think you're trying to minimize my contributions because you're threatened by my business development success, Marcus said. But the reality is that Sterling Solutions is as much my company as yours now. Marcus's claim that Sterling Solutions was as much his company as mine was so far from reality that I realized our working relationship was no longer sustainable. I began documenting Marcus's misrepresentations and preparing to terminate his employment before his unauthorized statements could cause further damage to client relationships. But before I could address the employment situation, Marcus escalated his claims about his role in the company by making statements to our board of directors. Sterling Solutions had established a board of directors the previous year to provide strategic guidance and oversight as the company continued growing. The board included 5 external advisors with relevant business experience and expertise. Marcus apparently believed that his employee status gave him the right to communicate directly with board members about company operations and strategy. During individual conversations with board members, Marcus began making statements about his partnership role in Sterling Solutions and his contributions to company strategy and growth. Elena and I have been working together to develop new service offerings, Marcus told one board member. As partners, we've been collaborating on the strategic direction of the business. These conversations with board members created confusion about Sterling Solutions' leadership structure and raised questions about whether there had been changes in ownership or management that hadn't been formally communicated. The situation reached a crisis point when Marcus requested that he be allowed to present at our quarterly board meeting about his vision for the company's future direction. Quarterly board meeting was scheduled for the following week, with presentations about financial performance, strategic initiatives, and operational updates. Marcus's request to present suggested that he believed he had the authority to address the board as a company leader rather than as an employee reporting to management. I informed Marcus that his request was inappropriate because he was not in a leadership position that would typically present to the board of directors. Marcus's response was to schedule individual calls with board members to discuss what he called governance issues and leadership structure concerns at Sterling Solutions. These calls created additional confusion among board members about the company's management structure and Marcus's actual role in the organization. 2 days before the quarterly board meeting, I received calls from 3 board members asking for clarification about Marcus's position in the company and whether there had been changes in ownership or partnership that they hadn't been informed about. Elena, Marcus has been telling us that he's a partner in Sterling Solutions, one board member said. But our records show you as the sole owner. Can you clarify the current ownership structure? Marcus mentioned that he's been making strategic decisions about company direction, another board member added. We want to understand his authority level before the quarterly meeting. I realized that Marcus's misrepresentations had created a situation where I needed to formally clarify the ownership and management structure of my own company to my own board of directors. I prepared a detailed presentation for the quarterly meeting that would include documentation of Sterling Solutions' ownership structure, management hierarchy, and decision-making authority. Quarterly board meeting was held in our conference room with all 5 board members attending, along with me, our CFO, and Marcus as the business development representative. The meeting began with standard agenda items including financial reports, operational updates, and strategic initiative reviews. Everything proceeded normally until we reached the section for governance and management updates. That's when Marcus stood up and asked to address the board about what he called leadership structure optimization. I'd like to discuss some organizational changes that would better reflect the current reality of how Sterling Solutions operates, Marcus announced to the room. The 5 board members looked surprised, as this topic hadn't been included in the meeting agenda and Marcus wasn't typically expected to present on governance issues. Marcus, this wasn't scheduled for today's agenda, I said diplomatically. Perhaps we could discuss your ideas after the meeting. But Marcus was apparently determined to use the board meeting as a platform to formalize his claims about his role in the company. Actually, I think the board needs to understand that Elena doesn't really run this company, Marcus declared, looking around the table at the 5 board members. The room fell completely silent as everyone processed Marcus's unexpected attack on my leadership and authority. Elena has been positioning herself as the sole leader of Sterling Solutions, but the reality is that I've been making the key business development decisions and strategic choices that have driven our recent growth, Marcus continued. I felt my face burning with humiliation and anger as Marcus used our quarterly board meeting to publicly undermine my position as CEO and founder of my own company. Elena is just a figurehead with no real authority, Marcus announced to the assembled board members. The actual leadership and decision-making has been handled by me as the true operational leader of this business. The room remained silent as 5 board members stared at Marcus, then at me, trying to understand why this confrontation was happening during our quarterly governance meeting. The board should understand that Sterling Solutions' success has been driven by my leadership and strategic vision, Marcus concluded. Elena's role has been primarily administrative rather than executive. That's when I opened my briefcase. I had brought the complete legal documentation of Sterling Solutions' ownership structure to the meeting, intending to use it during the governance update section of our agenda. But Marcus's public attack on my authority made it necessary to present this documentation immediately and decisively. Marcus, since you've chosen to make public claims about Sterling Solutions' leadership structure and my authority as CEO, I think it's appropriate to review the actual legal documentation of this company's ownership and governance. I pulled out the articles of incorporation, stock certificates, and corporate bylaws that established Sterling Solutions' legal structure. Sterling Solutions was incorporated 5 years ago with me as the sole founder and initial shareholder, I announced to the board, opening the incorporation documents. I found the relevant section and read aloud. Elena Martinez is designated as the initial director and president of Sterling Solutions LLC, with full authority over corporate operations and strategic decisions. The room was completely silent as I continued presenting the ownership documentation. According to these stock certificates, I currently hold 78% of Sterling Solutions' outstanding shares, I continued, showing the documents to the board members. The remaining 22% is held in reserve for potential future employee equity grants, which have not yet been allocated to any staff members, I explained. I looked directly at Marcus, who had gone completely white as the board members examined the ownership documents. Marcus, you have never been granted equity in Sterling Solutions, you have never been designated as a partner or principal, and you have no ownership stake in this company, I stated clearly. You are an employee in our business development department, reporting to me as CEO, with no authority to make strategic decisions or commitments on behalf of the organization. I opened the corporate bylaws and found the section defining management authority. According to our bylaws, all major strategic and operational decisions require approval from the board of directors or the CEO, Elena Martinez, acting on behalf of the majority shareholders, I read aloud. Marcus has no decision-making authority beyond his specific job responsibilities in business development, I concluded. The board members were examining the ownership documents while Marcus sat frozen, apparently unable to respond to the evidence that completely contradicted his claims about his role in the company. Marcus, you've spent 6 months telling clients, colleagues, and now our board of directors that you're a partner in Sterling Solutions, I continued. These legal documents prove that you have never held any ownership position in this company. I gathered the incorporation papers and stock certificates. The board can see from this documentation that Sterling Solutions is a company I founded, that I own the controlling interest, and that I have full authority as CEO to make strategic and operational decisions. The meeting room erupted in awkward murmurs as board members processed the dramatic contradiction between Marcus's claims and the actual ownership structure. Elena, thank you for clarifying the ownership documentation, the board chair said diplomatically. This resolves any confusion about management authority and decision-making responsibility. Marcus left the meeting immediately after my presentation of the ownership documents, gathering his materials and exiting without speaking to anyone. For the rest of the quarterly meeting, board members asked detailed questions about company operations, strategic planning, and my vision for Sterling Solutions' continued growth. Elena, it's clear that you've built an impressive business, one board member commented. Your leadership has created substantial value for the company and its clients. The aftermath of the board meeting created immediate and lasting changes in Sterling Solutions' internal dynamics and Marcus's employment situation. The following day, I met with our HR director and legal counsel to discuss Marcus's misrepresentations to clients, board members, and business contacts. Marcus's claims about partnership status could create legal liability if clients made decisions based on his unauthorized representations, our attorney advised. We need to send clarification communications to all clients and business contacts who may have received incorrect information about company leadership, our HR director recommended. I made the decision to terminate Marcus's employment immediately, both because of his misrepresentations and because of his attempt to undermine my authority during the board meeting. Termination meeting was brief and focused on the factual basis for the employment decision. Marcus, your employment with Sterling Solutions is being terminated effective immediately, I informed him. This decision is based on your misrepresentation of your role to clients and board members, and your unauthorized claims about company partnership and authority. Marcus's response revealed that he still didn't understand the seriousness of his misrepresentations or the inappropriateness of his board meeting behavior. Elena, I think you're overreacting to my strategic vision for the company, he said. My contributions have been valuable, and terminating me will hurt Sterling Solutions' growth. "Marcus, you told our board of directors that I don't really run this company and that you have authority that you've never been granted," I replied. "That's not strategic vision, that's misrepresentation of corporate structure." Marcus left Sterling Solutions that day, but his misrepresentations had created cleanup work that took weeks to address properly. I had to send corrective communications to every client and business contact who had received incorrect information about company leadership or Marcus's role in the organization. "We want to clarify that Marcus Williams was an employee in our business development department and held no ownership or partnership position in Sterling Solutions," the communications explained. Several clients expressed surprise about the clarification, having been told by Marcus that he was a company partner with decision-making authority. "We had no idea Marcus wasn't actually a principal," one client said. "He presented himself as Elena's business partner and co-founder." The incident also required formal notification to our professional liability insurance carrier about potential exposure from Marcus's unauthorized representations to clients. 6 months later, Sterling Solutions has recovered completely from the disruption caused by Marcus's employment and misrepresentations. Company continues growing rapidly, with annual revenue now exceeding $3 million and a team of 35 consultants serving clients across multiple industries. I've implemented stronger protocols around employee communications with clients and external parties to prevent future misrepresentations about company leadership or individual authority. The experience taught me valuable lessons about family-business relationships, employee management, and the importance of clear corporate governance documentation. First, hiring family members can create complications when they develop unrealistic expectations about their role or authority in the business. Second, employee misrepresentations about company leadership can create serious legal and business risks that require immediate attention and correction. Third, maintaining clear documentation of ownership structure and decision-making authority is crucial for resolving disputes about corporate governance. Most importantly, the experience reinforced that business success requires protecting the integrity of corporate structure and leadership clarity, even when family relationships are involved. Today, I'm proud of Sterling Solutions' continued growth and grateful for the board of directors who supported my leadership during Marcus's attempt to undermine my authority. Quarterly meeting incident has become something of a cautionary tale in our business community about the dangers of employee misrepresentation and the importance of clear corporate governance. If you've experienced family members or employees who have misrepresented their role in your business or challenged your authority as owner, know that clear documentation and decisive action are essential for protecting your company's integrity. Maintain proper corporate records, address misrepresentations immediately, and don't let personal relationships prevent you from protecting your business interests. Thank you for listening to my story of corporate vindication and the ownership papers that proved who really controlled the company. Sometimes the best response to people who claim you don't really run your business is legal documentation that shows exactly who owns and operates it.